Hello, I'm Jarna Hector. Welcome to National Focus. Coming up, OECS heads move steps closer to addressing Baiko-Kliko matter, and Public Works Minister discusses the status of roadworks around the island. Stay with us as we bring you details of these stories and others when National Focus returns.
Documentaries and in-depth discussions, community walkthroughs, and Yes We Care. See it all on GIS Channel 7.
Welcome back. As the Monetary Council meeting adjourned on Thursday evening at the Rosalie Bay Resort, heads of governments, finance ministers from the OECS region, and other government officials gathered for an informal impromptu. The Monetary Council comprises finance ministers from the OECS who met to discuss various issues, including the Kliko-Baiko controversy. At that ceremony, Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit stated that heads of government were making progress on the British-American Baiko-Kliko issue, which has affected many people who invested heavily in those institutions. He says while this is not a matter for government, he felt it necessary, along with other OECS heads of states, to seek a resolution for this matter.
I can tell you I sit with very hardworking, committed and dedicated leaders. And we are fortunate, and I dare say so, we are fortunate to have these men leading the region at this time, at this very critical and difficult time. And what we have been able to do in particular regards to the insurance debacle, Baiko and Kliko, I mean, it is 3-4 years of work ensuring that the investments made by our people will not go down in the drain. Though we have no responsibility to the people who have invested, but we felt that we as leaders, we need to do everything possible to ensure that we could secure, if not all, but at least a portion of the investments made by our citizens. And thus far we made tremendous progress, and I think in the next few days we will outline the progress that we have made and how we're going to go about addressing this issue.
Prime Minister of St. Vincent, Honorable Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, who is also the chairman of the OECS, stated that the OECS heads are making progress in addressing the Baiko-Kliko issue.
We have been working with Trinidad and Tobago and other regional governments on trying to find a way out of this insurance difficulty. We have earlier address the issue of the property side of the insurance. That was sold very early in the day to another company. So those who had property insurance with Baiko, they're in order. We also set up a medical insurance fund, which we dealt with that issue also. The traditional life, which constitute over 22,000 of the 30-odd thousand policyholders of Baiko, that is to say 2/3. We have sold, after competitive tender, the traditional life. We have sold it to Sagicor, which is a very reputable company. It is traded on the London Stock Exchange in addition to stock exchanges here in the region. And all the approvals through all the various jurisdictions have been formalized. And I would expect sometime early in the new year that Sagicor will be up and running with all the traditional life policies.
He says the annuities are the bulk of the problem with Baiko.
We have sourced $100 million from Trinidad and Tobago. $24 million is to come from the CARICOM Petroleum Facility, which strictly speaking is not Trinidad's money, but which is our money, which is in that fund through an arrangement which had been established some time ago. And then Trinidad is providing a further $36 million from its own resources and $40 million. All these are US denomination from the Caribbean Development Bank. Remember this, the total liabilities exposure of British American amounted to about 16% of the gross domestic product of the entire currency union. To give an idea of the comparison, when people come to lecture us, bear this in mind. All the TAP funds, the Troubled Assets Recovery Program funds of Presidents Bush and Obama, which came up to over $900 billion. That is less than 1% of the GDP of the United States of America. Whereas our exposure with BICO and CLICO amounting to 16% of our GDP. If we had a 1% problem, we didn't have a problem. We have a 16% problem.
According to Honorable Gonzalez, some matters will have to be addressed before other policyholders receive assistance.
We are hoping that we will get the first tranche of the money from Trinidad and Tobago sometime soon. If we do, we are going to be able to assist immediately just over 5,000 policyholders of the EPAs under 30,000 Eastern Caribbean dollars. That is roughly the equivalent of 75,000 TT dollars, because we are using some similar formulae as what Trinidad used. And we'll hope that we can pay those out before Christmas, if the money comes within the next few days. And then the rest of the money, we will have phase 2 and phase 3 of the payments rising to policies up to 150,000 US dollars.
Several lawsuits have been filed to acquire most of the funds to pay back those policyholders.
Those who have flexible EPAs above that figure, and it's a large amount of money but a small number of people, you will have to wait until we have sorted out. We have a suit against a number of persons connected with CL Financial in Miami of 75 million US dollars. CL Financial had given us a note, British American, of 48 million US. We're suing on that too. And in the case of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, our insurance regulator is suing a bank, a regional bank, which had held out that they had a custodial arrangement relating to certain assets which were to be put inside of the statutory fund in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but it turned out that they did not have that custodial relationship. So we are suing on the basis of the negligent misrepresentation by them to us in the sum of 145 million Eastern Caribbean dollars.
Meantime, Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit described the meetings as being very productive.
We had some very, very constructive discussions and very important decisions on substantial matters today. Area of banking, area of insurance, and the area of advancing our own integration process. And I believe that thousands of our citizens across the length and breadth of the OECS will be pleased of the discussions today.
The Prime Minister made the following remarks with regard to the decisions that governments have to make, all the while striving to keep the economy afloat.
We're going through a very challenging and difficult period. And sometimes we as citizens, we place greater emphasis on what is not happening or what should be happening, rather than actually what is happening and what we have done as a people, the successes that we've made as a region. Because when you look at the small island states, every year we have to be subjected to hurricanes. You know, you put in infrastructure, is washed away. You have to go out and borrow money to replace it. And these are some of the reasons why in some cases, our debt is so high. There are people outside of the region who believe, and sometimes we ourselves give the impression to others, that it's because of the recklessness of governments. It is because we have to respond to the needs of our citizens and also respond to the impact of the natural disasters in our islands. And but yet still, notwithstanding the crisis, we have been able to fare much better than most.
Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit stated that while the OECS member states are faring well, there are still issues which need to be addressed on a continuous basis.
There are a number of issues that we have to continue to address as a people: the issue of productivity, the issue of greater accountability, the issue of recognizing a greater desire to see ourselves advance and what role we can play as individual citizens.
Despite small island states having to grapple with the global economic crisis, Len Ishmael, Director General of the OECS, credited the quality of leadership of the amalgamation of member states within the region to the economies faring well.
I think it's also important to recognize, and we know that because we feel it intimately, all of us, up and down our island chain, that the effects of the global recession are not yet over. We have not yet turned the curve on it. But yet, when we take a look at what has happened around the world, I think it's fair to say that we're enormously fortunate because we still have jobs. We have not yet lost jobs. And when we take a look at the resilience of these tiny microstates, it's pretty amazing that we have come this far and are still holding our head above water. And it must be the quality of the leadership of these microstates here in the OECS economies and OECS region that we continue to do the very best we can in these most turbulent of times. At the very time when the world was in the depths of this recession, at the very time when countries much larger than ours took a step back and retreated into stances which were very nationalistic and very protectionist, OECS leaders were bold and visionary and took a bold leap of faith into the future and decided that in turbulent times we need to be together much more than even in good times. And they accelerated the pace and the road to economic union, and this is an achievement which is remarkable by any world standard.
Friday saw the commencement of the 56th meeting of the OECS Authority, and we will bring you details of that next week. Government continues to confront the issue of unemployment head-on by putting measures in place to assist its young people. The Prime Minister recently spoke to the Dubic community about implementing a special program to assist the young people of Dubic.
Doc mentioned the issue of unemployment. What we may want to do is to bring back the small business unit here to discuss with you as to what ideas you have as to how we can finance it, and if we have to make a special allocation for Dubic, then we'll put the resources aside to Dubic for a special program here insofar as self-employment is concerned.
He also reaffirmed government's commitment to education by stating that government is prepared to assist in any way it can to help its young people develop themselves.
For those of you who have left school, there's nothing wrong in continuing education. If you have any ideas of what you want to do, feel free to speak to the party about your idea, how we can assist you in paying the tuition for you and the school fees for you. We're more than ready to do that for you and so on. So life should not end until we're really dead. And the Bible tells us there's life after death. So even while you have life here on earth, you must make use of it. We can't understand and say, well, okay, well, that's it for me, life finished for me and so on. We have to persevere. We have to reach out and make things happen for ourselves. So I'm very happy to be here in Dubic this afternoon. It's a small ceremony, but the significance of it is far-reaching and historical.
16 Calypsonians signed their contracts with the Cooperative Division on Wednesday, taking plans for the first ever Cooperative Calypso competition to the next level. Representing the Ministry of Social Services and Community Development, Joyette Fabian commended the organizers for their creativity in planning the Calypso show to form part of the observation of International Year of Cooperatives.
Plans for this activity have been in the making for some time. I have been hearing about it since probably early in the year, and I'm happy to see that it is finally on the road to becoming a reality. I must commend the registrar and staff of the Cooperative Division for coming up with this excellent initiative. Mighty Brahmo? Mighty Brahma, cheers to you for that great idea. Calypso is a much-loved musical genre in Dominica, and the idea of a cooperative Calypso competition is definitely novel and innovative. The Cooperative Division has organized this competition as part of International Year of Cooperatives to sensitize the public in an interesting and exciting way of the numerous opportunities for development which exist in the cooperative model of business, and to highlight cooperatives as a perfect engine for economic growth, particularly in the context of developing countries like Dominica.
Fabian also remarked that cooperatives play a significant role in grooming a productive workforce. She urged competitors to promote the spirit of cooperation and by so doing, help the cooperative movement in Dominica to expand.
The more the youth are made to recognize the importance of cooperation, the better positioned they will be to lead entrepreneurship initiatives in the future, hence reducing the burden for employment which currently rests so heavily on government. I call upon you participants to go out there and promote cooperatives as the way forward. Let your message resound all across Dominica so that no one will be left unaware of the development opportunities that exist in cooperatives. Through this Calypso competition, it is hoped that there will be a rapid acceleration in the growth of the cooperative sector in Dominica.
Registrar of Cooperatives Mariette Canoville explained that the competition is a way to incite fresh enthusiasm for the concept of cooperatives.
Persons may wonder why Cooperative Division having a Calypso show. But as I say, what better way? Let the Calypsonian do the commentary on the cooperative movement in Dominica. Let us hear in song what is happening within the sector. Cooperatives have done well in the past, but like everything, every sector in a business, there is a business curve, right? And so too, I would say in the cooperative movement, there is a curve, and we have hit that peak. So we have to develop new strategy. Persons, we in Dominica, we get tired fast of things. Can I safely say that? And then if it is not an exciting thing anymore, we tend now to go and everything just disappears. So we at the Cooperative Division and the Cooperative Societies League, let's not forget them. Miss Nation is sitting right here with us. She's on the team, working hard with us. We have to come up with new ways to make people understand the whole cooperative philosophy. And that is what we decide to do. We are educating you on the cooperative movement.
Canoville announced that the intention is to encourage the spirit of cooperation on the island.
We are promoting the model because it's the best model for us in Dominica. We are a small nation, and what better way than to cooperate? With cooperation, definitely things can work.
The competitors are Explosion, Psy, Swallow, Man Himself, Big Jeff, Caressa, The Bob, Checo, Benno, Vigilante, Energizer, Elv, Rachel John Baptist, Leona Peters, and Jenny Jackson. The Cooperative Calypso competition is planned for December 1st. Speaking at the Court's OECS reading competition where Dominica placed second, Education Minister Honorable Peter Seja extolled the advantages of reading. Minister Seja was speaking primarily to young readers.
Good readers, we know, can comprehend ideas. They can follow arguments and detect implications. That is an important skill for any individual, and as young children, reading helps you to develop your language skills, your comprehension skills, and it also helps you to focus on what others are communicating to you. At any age, I believe we need to continue discovering new things as we go through life. Books, magazines, and even the internet are all great learning tools. But friends, guess what? It means, therefore, that even in an age of advanced technology, one simply cannot survive without being able to give meaning to the written word. What an incredible flow of information available to us in so many ways. Therefore, we must be able to read to take advantage of it all.
Representing Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit was the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Honorable Alvin Bernard, who described reading as an avenue that leads to efficient learning.
It's important that one is able to read properly and effectively. Because reading pervades every subject and every discipline. There is an ongoing debate in terms of the focus of children on academics or practical skills. And we often hear it said that some students are better academically and some technically. I do not contribute to this point of view because I believe every skill is important, no less than reading. And you need reading to access every bit of information, every skill set that you want to.
Education Minister Honorable Peter Seja highlighted that government recognizes the decline in school reading levels and is working on bringing that trend to a halt.
As the Ministry of Education and Human Resource Development, we are committed to promoting an appreciation for reading among all of our students. We are working to arrest the decline in reading levels, as we have found that too many of our students do not have the necessary reading skills as they move through the school system. Against this backdrop, government's implementation of universal early childhood education with a defined curriculum content, we will look to encourage the appreciation for reading that will serve our children well as they advance from early childhood onto primary school and beyond. We are serious about this venture because we recognize that reading is the most important skill a child can develop, as this determines whether he or she will be proficient writers and communicators, whether he or she will excel at school and continue to achieve success in future careers.
Minister Seja said his ministry commends Courts OECS and DBS Radio for promoting reading in such an innovative way. In more news, Honorable Rayburn Blackmore, Minister for Public Works, spoke at a press conference on Thursday to update the nation on the status of government's scheme to improve the island's roads. The Public Works Minister revealed that a major project to be undertaken by the Public Works Corporation will cost about $1.7 million and is set to benefit travelers of the Lale Coco Road.
We also recognize the need to address one of the most highly traversed roads in the country, that is to say the Lale Coco area. And very shortly, we are going to see the commencement of work in that area, that is to say from the Crazy area, from the gas station, sorry, next to Crazy, that leads back into the wall or the first bus stop in Point Michel. And also the work would include the replacement of the surface that leads into Wall House. And towards the eastern side of the road, you're going to see the installation of concrete drains. And towards the western side, some curb.
Honorable Blackmore listed successful projects like the West Coast Road, which connects Roseau and Portsmouth, the Melville Hall Access Road, the Valley Road, Point Michel Sea Defense Wall, and the section of road that leads into the entrance of the EC Lowback Bridge and other road improvement projects. The minister further discussed the Mont Prosper Road project, of which the first phase has been completed.
We have just completed the first phase of the Mont Prosper Road rehabilitation work, where we have actually placed a new asphalted concrete surface. And then in many instances, of course, we have improved the culverting, seen the installation of retaining walls. The final component of that project in itself would include concrete drains, and that's to be started shortly.
GIS News will bring you more from that interview in a subsequent newscast. And that's the English segment of the news. We now join McPherson St. Luce for the Creole highlights.
Allô tout le monde, bienvenue à ces nouvelles en créole. Non, moi c'est McPherson St. Luce. Premièrement, projet géothermique que le gouvernement Dominique a poussé devant, que voit Dominicain taper soulagement et puis light, là qui vient en réalité. Parole cela sorti du ministère énergie, Honorable Ribbon Blackmore. Selon Honorable Blackmore, Dominique qui aussi savant produit cela par pays français.
Tout le monde le sait, ça nous a fait comme gouvernement pour payer moins assez light bill. Aussi, nous regarder à la direction où nous sommes plus business à Dominique. Et si on est en place, les bagages comme lights, cher, et qui fait plus difficile pour attracter business neuf. Donc nous avons espoir, l'année qui va venir, nous qui commençons pour travailler assez pour bâtir un plan petit. So nous avons produire énergie géothermale pour nous en Dominique, avec plus tard pour nous savants. Parce que nous les Dominicains bénéficient de bagaille ça. Et nous avons fait bagaille gouvernement avant nous de faire. Et si nous savons faire ça, et là nous quelqu'un fait ça, nous mon ça dit ça c'est calé faire Dominicain plus meilleur. Faire la vie Dominicain plus meilleur. Tout bonnement.
En d'autres nouvelles, plusieurs organisations qui ont collaboré et puis Bureau Femmes et puis NOM, Gender Affairs, pour organiser activité 16-day activism, ça c'est violence au compte NOM et puis femmes en toute manifestation. Ces activités-là qui tiennent à une manière sensibiliser le public là, toute qualité de violence pas bon, et puis seule manière pour aller, c'est et puis la paix. Activité commencée vendredi où là, ces différentes organisations-là lancé programme activité ailleurs. Organisation Conseil Femmes qui tient activité qu'on chef organisation Salah Josephine Dublin Prince mentionné yondé pendant conférence média aujourd'hui.
Tous les années nous ni ça nous qui est 16 days of activism. Ça c'est 16 jours. À 16 jours ça là nous commencé 27 novembre. Il a fini 10 décembre. Mais avec l'organisation femmes, ça nous a fait, nous a commencé pour faire moun changer tout le monde, toute femme, tout homme, tous enfants qui a espéré à ces violences à ce koyo. Avec nous a distribué ça nous a qui est tags purple tags, et ça qui fait moun réfléchir à ce tous ces monde là qui a espéré à ces violences à ce koyo. So nous a distribué ces tags là et nous a encouragé moun pour faire contribution pour wende nous à travail là nous a fait. Nous a aussi allé à l'école, nous a allé à l'école Kabel et parler avec ces enfants là comment yo sa arrêter violence là. Là yo ouais violence à kayo comment yo ça dit papa yo pas fait ça, comment yo ça dit maman yo même pas fait papa yo ça. So nous ka ba yo information pour wende yo avec la vie qui avec autant la paix à kaila.
En d'autres nouvelles, département de Dominique a fait un report bonne nouvelle médicaments. Yo ka traité maman qui enceinte et puis yon est virus à sida. Bébé a yo si le médicament yo ka point ka résulté bébé a yo sorti négative hot sida. Parole cela sorti hot coordinateur département sida Dominique Nurse Julie Frampton.
Nous t'es parlé contre ça nous a fait, ça nous voit qui a travail et qui challenge nous ni, mais ça nous voit qui médecine là pour traiter femmes qui enceintes pour si on est HIV qui travaille bien. Toutes ces enfants-là qui fait des femmes qui tiennent HIV, yo toutes négatives parce que nous baillons médecine là, femmes là pas enceinte et nous ca traiter les enfants là comment ensemble ils fait et nous Jacques frère comment ça ca travaille bien. Tous ces enfants là nous jani pour ces 5 années qui passées yo toutes négatives. So ça sont bon bitin et nous ca encourager moun qui enceinte pour faire certain ou faire HIV test tout.
Et puis finalement programme que DYBT a conduit par jeunesse qui a marché puis satisfaction. Parole celle qui a sorti hors coordinateur département là c'est Paul qui a créé à ce jeune esprit là pour prendre l'avantage à programme là.
Moi bien content comment DYBT a allé, moi joindre DYBT aller dans bonne position et monsieur John Roach c'était coordinateur DYBT avant moi presque fini ou ça dit moi en point de travail là toujours mais là moi je joins DYBT c'est aller dans au bon place comme ça moi bien content comment il était conduit avant avec comment bagay ka aller à présent et moi que encourager jeune monde et parents qui connaissent enfants yo qui ni skill yo ni talent yo ni yo idée pour faire au business pour venir côté DYBT parler ba nous et nous que voir comment nous ça aider yo. Nous pas qu'à dire nous ça aider tout jeune monde Dominique mais nous qu'à essayer aider autant monde qu'on nous ça fait.
Messieurs mesdames, ça c'est tout pour nouvelle créole pour à présent. Non, moi c'est McPherson St. Luce. Ni un bon week-end. Au revoir.
Thank you, McPherson. We now join Pearl Fontaine with this week's edition of Flashback.
Hello and welcome to Flashback. In observation of International Men's Day 2012, Minister for Gender Affairs, Honorable Gloria Shillingford, delivered a speech under the theme, Helping Men and Boys Live Longer, Happier and Healthier Lives. Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit and his cabinet ministers assisted the community of Jubic in a major way this week. On Monday, the Jubic Improvement Committee received a check of $60,000 that will go toward improving housing needs within the community. Again this week, Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit commented on the recently concluded IMF report. He stated that government has taken preemptive measures that would continue to safeguard Dominica's economy. And the 56th meeting of the OECS Authority convened this week with a joint meeting of the Monetary Council and the OECS Authority following a special meeting of the Monetary Council on Thursday. The meeting came to a close on Friday evening. Dominica's President, His Excellency Eliud Williams, visited the Grotto Home for the Homeless as part of his office's tradition to pay a Christmas visit to various charitable organizations. And Dominica's Rosalie Bay Resort was nominated for the 2012 Secretary of State's Award for Corporate Excellence. Of the many businesses nominated by U.S. ambassadors around the globe, only 11 have been chosen as finalists and recognized as global leaders in advancing corporate social responsibility. Government committed to funding DSC scholarships for students of Jubic earlier this week. The Prime Minister made this announcement at a recent handing over ceremony. And Aidan Bruni copped second place in the court's OECS reading competition. These were the headlines which made the news this week. Back to you, Jarna.
Thanks, Pearl. Please stay tuned for the tip of the day. Our tip today is about answering the phone properly. Before finishing a phone call, check with the caller that you have got everything right. Ask questions to clarify any details that you are not sure about. In fact, it is good to ask questions throughout the call. Always be prepared to ask questions when you're answering the phone. Make answering the phone a very active rather than passive task. And that's National Focus. As usual, we invite your suggestions or comments. Please feel free to drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm or visit our website at news.gov.dm. You could also visit our Dominica pages on both YouTube and Facebook. On behalf of the entire news production team, I'm Jarna Hector. Thanks for watching and have a great weekend.